What is up? It's your boy Johnny SHREVE, BB Pro, Mr. Tell Like It Is. Today guys, we're going over some fitness acronyms. This was a request by one of my subscribers and his name was kind of, I don't know if it was him or her, but his name's kind of messed up, so I really couldn't put it there. But if you remember this one being your suggestion, write in the comment section below. Appreciate you, brother. Let's get into it. First up on the list, we have RPE. That's your rate of perceived exertion. It's basically a scale to gauge how hard a set is gonna be. Whether it's going from 1, which is basically pretty easy, to 10, failure. Next on the list is RIR. This is your reps in reserve. It's basically another way to gauge fatigue. You know, you're basically doing your set and then say you came close to failure and you might be asked, how many reps did you have left? And you're like, 3. That would be you had 3 reps in reserve. Between the RIR and RPE, these are great ways to gauge how hard you need to actually train. And there's some studies actually been done that a RIR of 2 to 3 or a RPE of 7 to 8 is just as good as training to failure. I'll get into that into a video very shortly. Let's keep it moving. 3 is HIIT training. H-I-T, not H-I-T. We know what that one is, but H-I-I-T is high intensity interval training. You would do, say, like 1 minute on, 1 minute off. 1 minute high intensity, 1 minute low intensity, and just going back and forth in that from an allotted period of time. Now, the opposite of that would be low intensity steady state. It's another type of cardio, basically zone 2 cardio, walking a treadmill, stepper, stairmaster, whatever it is. Low intensity steady state. Here's another term for you guys, AMRAP, as many reps as possible. So you would do, say, 3 AMRAP sets, meaning you would do whatever exercise it is, do it as many reps as you possibly can, and then you do that for as many sets that are required. Next up top is EMOM. This is more like a CrossFit thing, but basically every minute on the minute, meaning say you're doing set exercise and you got to train every minute and you got 5 minutes to do, I would say 10 reps of deadlifts. You take on that minute, you do your 10 deadlifts, and then whatever remaining time you have, that's your rest time until the next minute. It's a great way to increase intensity and really get the cardiovascular going and muscle endurance. Next is PR and PB, your personal record or personal best. Fairly easy to understand that. But basically, people might ask you that. How much can you lift? How much can you bench? You'd be like, well, my PB or my PR is XYZ, or, you know, so that's basically what it is. DOMS. DOMS is your delayed onset of muscle soreness. You might have not trained for a long time, may have taken legs off for a bit and got back in the gym and went hard. And then you're like, man, that felt good. And the next day you're like, I feel pretty good. And all of a sudden the next day you're like, oh my God, I can't walk, right? There's still a lot of studies behind it, not really knowing why there's a delayed onset of muscle soreness, but it basically happens when your body is just kind of fresh and going into another stimulus, and that's what happens. Next is your TDEE. That is your total daily energy expenditure. I'll throw it in there as well too. Your NEAT is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, is basically the full amount of calories that you use or burned in the day. That's including your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is NEAT. That's gonna include that as well as your exercise activity thermogenesis. Those things that you're actually doing, your training, your non-training, your sitting, just the total amount of calories that's used in a day. Next we got RM, your rep max. What is your repetition max? Your 1 rep max, your 5 rep max, your 20 rep max, your 10 rep max. It's just your repetition max, RM. Next is WOD. It's your workout of the day. What is your WOD? You walk into your CrossFit class, you see on the chalkboard or dry eraser board, and it'll be like your workout of the day. That is your WOD. You can even say your WOD is basically what you're training in a day anyway. You can be like, hey man, what day is it? In your push pull legs, you'd be like, today the WOD today is legs. Next we have Tabata. Tabata is another type of high intensity interval training that requires basically 8 rounds of 20 seconds on, 10 seconds of recovery, 8 rounds of that. Now we have some different types of training systems. The FST7, your Fascial Stretch Training 7. I'm pretty sure Hanny Rambod was the creator of this type of training. Basically you're doing 7 sets of very intense hypertrophy training, stretching the fascia of your body. Basically some pretty hard shit to do. Hanny Rambod's the man. Check it out. Next we got GVT, German volume training. I've done all this crazy, actually all these things I've done. I guess 30 years of being in the gym. You should know all these things. Either way, GVT is German volume training. It's basically 10 sets of 10. I've heard that before. 10 sets of 10. 10 sets of 10 repetitions. 10 sets of squats and 10 repetitions. Or you could do chest, deadlifts, basically 10 reps, 10 sets. Next up, we got PPL, right? Push-pull legs, basically training 6 days a week. This is when you can really utilize training each muscle group twice a week. You're doing push-pull legs and another push-pull legs, right? This is a great way we can divide things up, train each muscle group twice a week. You can do your push day 1 is gonna be maybe chest primary and then shoulder secondary. Your pull might be a high pull or a pull-up day, and then your next day might be a lot of rows or vice versa. Then you have a leg day, which can be just basically the same thing on both days, or you can switch them up and have it one leg day be quads and one leg day be hamstrings. Now we have your CNS. You probably heard that before, your central nervous system. So when we're talking about like, in terms of like a training context, lifting extremely heavy will have some neurological effects on your body. You're gonna feel it a lot in your head in a sense. It's just kind of like you feel it in your head a little bit. You tax your CNS because you're going extremely heavy and intense. Now, these are some terms that we need to know that I'll go over in an individual video so we can have a better understanding of gauging overall performance. But your first on is your MEV, which is your minimum effective volume. That is basically what is the least amount of work that you can get the most amount of results. Now, your MAV, your MAV, is gonna be your maximum adaptive volume. What's the maximum amount of work you can do that's gonna create adaptation, muscular adaptation, right? The maximum amount of volume you can do without overtraining. Now, your MRV is your maximum recovery volume. Basically, what's the maximum amount of work you can do that you can still recover without overtraining? That's basically it. Now your MV, which is basically maintenance volume. This is basically like, what is the volume you can do just to maintain the results that you have? This is the work you need to do just to maintain the gains that you've gained. And last but not least, we got EPOC. EPOC is your excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. But EPOC is basically when your heart recovers after cardio. Now, EPOC is more, I would say, significant in terms of like HIIT training, because when your heart rate is spiked up to, let's say, with a more of a maximum heart rate, your body bringing your heart rate back down to baseline, the oxygen consumption in that is gonna burn more calories after. So it's basically called like the afterburn effect when it comes to training. Now, when you're doing steady state cardio too, there is EPOC, but it's a lot less. Why? Because when you're doing steady state cardio and zone 2 cardio, your heart rate's not going as high, and to recover your heart rate back to baseline isn't as significant as recovering your heart rate from, say, like max heart rate all the way back down to baseline. So the return to baseline is burning more calories after you train or after your cardio session. Anyway, guys, hope that has helped you out. So next time you're reading a program or watching a video, you guys know exactly what they're talking about when they're saying RPE, RAR, EPOC, EMOM, or whatever it is. And I hope this helps you out. Anyway, guys, if you want to talk more about this or nutrition or training, supplementation, or just mental health, I've increased my video consults to 1 hour. Me and you, we hash it out, and you get more clear understanding of what you're trying to do or what you want to do. Book that consult, and at that consult, I actually deduct $100 off any package that you pick. Till next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.